Good morning, evening, afternoon, I'm tatocat. Welcome to my channel. Today we're playing Echoes, the Lucid9 Fangame. Previously, Yama gave Rui a necklace, and it used to be his sister's. And now we're listening to what's going on with the novel 40 and the deaths that are happening, and that there's no good news. And that's where we left off. The former was killed after nominally safe concentration of bloodborne novel 40 antigens sent him into anaphylactic shock, and the latter developed fatal fever after the virus infected her pituitary gland and progressed to a stage where she developed acute hyperthyroidism, fell into a coma, and died. Wow. The last and most recent fatality was a subject of debate among Kuragane's colleagues. A 22-year-old guard working for Black Star Security in District 6 shot herself with a service pistol after an entertaining and hold on, let me get my brain to work. Intrauterine. See, I knew my brain would work. Novel 40 infection caused her to miscarry in her third trimester of pregnancy. The suicide note she left behind, however, indicated that her husband and superior officer may have done far worse to her if they found out about it. The National News Network has been silent about these deaths despite extensive coverage of the situation in District 6. As of today, WFCTN and KCOM's media services have unfortunately done the same. While our informants in the Ministry of Health suspect the government had lockdown plan in place since 2040, it was never public knowledge. That means every person in District 6 was taken by surprise when they were placed under quarantine, and at 0300 hours today, everyone who failed to get out in time was boxed in by Black Star road checkpoints and swarms of DCIS attack drones that now sit ready to vaporize anyone who tries to sneak out. The new law of land is as follows. Anyone not under the influence of immune serum has to stay inside the district, and anyone who is only gets out with clearance from both DCIS and Black Star Security. The government refuses to allow any exceptions, so in a few days the district risks running out of food, supplies, and raw materials it requires in order to operate at full capacity. Since every batch of immune serum currently being produced is Way Forward's property, we've begun to administer doses to medical staff and delivery drivers in District 6 at the government's request, as well as to Class 5 citizens citywide. The Isamu meritocracy's political and economic elite. As you can imagine, these doses were administered at the government's insistence. Around 150 SSD operatives have been redeployed to District 6, including Operative 2 through 6 of the Lucid cell, as they were deemed available for temporary reassignment by the chairman. The duties of these reassigned operatives will include providing protection to our serum transport and storage infrastructure, as well as keeping our civilian employees in line. Most are already aware of what contract or NDA violation would cost them. However, we just need to remind them that they should be very, very afraid of losing it. Amy's attitude towards you has increased to 40. Okay, I don't know what I did, but cool. Black Star and KCOM as a whole have been ramping up their material assistance, and an increasing number of factories are being repurposed to help us produce more serum. To elevate our chances of remediating this outbreak, it remains only logical for us to strike a bargain with DCIS. I don't think she likes me on that part. I was not very good in Limniscape DCIS world. Well, some of you might see them as the devil among devils. Their supercomputers will undoubtedly go a long way to keep us from ending up 31 flavors of fucked. So, you guessed that, it's time to play Sellsword again. Then your guess is right, on the money. I took the liberty of examining the data from your optics, 9. Whoever the hell this warden is, the one thing we know for sure is that she's given you a tall order. The target of this mission is one of the most dangerous officers the ILF has at their disposal. Not just that, they're guarded by an entire company on terrain where the probability of civilian casualties occurring is extremely high. If we weren't so desperate, I'd be tempted to dismiss this op as Limniscape entrapping us to inflict collateral damage. But there's a good chance that the lives of the people inside have already been written off. Regardless, you're hereby ordered to take minimum force approach when not actively engaging hostile forces. If we have to work with DCIS, I'd like you to take the high road and show them what the SSD looks like at its best. At the moment, I don't have a complete understanding of what this mission entails, but DCIS sent us someone who does. You have the channel, Agent. Feel free to elaborate. I will do what I must, as expectedly as I can, said Commander. But do not indict me for a lack of brevity. If we encounter any latency or connectivity issues during this meeting, it will be due to your corporation's stubborn insistence on utilizing its own vastly inferior technology. Vastly inferior. Right. Because if I don't want to use a spyware-infested laptop because it has more cores written on the box, or let some ugly bastard touch the turkey to footage recorded from my hacked Limniscape smart vitro wireless contact lenses. Or I'm a fucking troglodyte who uses rocks as toilet paper. That's one hell of a sales pitch, though. Here goes insulting potential Limniscape customers like she's about to ask us to pay 1,000 yen a month for her OnlyFans. As you already know, this is a mission to secure a DCIS facility, one that has been targeted by Yuto Maeda of the ILF for the purpose of staging a mass breakout. You will be tasked with stopping him, capturing him, and turning him over to our custody. Once that occurs, we will ensure that he receives justice for his crimes against the state, as well as giving him the opportunity to assist us as a valuable informant. For obvious reasons, Maeda must be captured alive, and I would like to reiterate that failing to do so will mean failing this mission, and failing this mission will mean failing to meet the expectations that the Department of Corporate Intelligence and Security has of this alliance with a way forward. While neutralizing the soldiers under his command would be appreciated, killing them is not your top priority. And while some degree of property damage is understandable, do endeavor to make sure that most of the shots you fire reach their intended target. Try not to place any civilian targets in unnecessary danger, but don't go out of your way to save their lives. In the event that they should expire, the cost of replacing them would be negligible. If Maeda is killed, however, his capture will provide no useful information, and DCIS will lose a high-valued source of intelligence on the ILF. The recon probes we sent out indicate that Maeda's forces will consist of 200 ILF commandos. These are elite stealth troopers who typically specialize in urban combat, making use of asymmetric warfare, long-range ambush attacks, and underhanded tactics such as deploying comm jammers and sabotaging local infrastructure. Wait, underhanded? So what you're doing isn't underhanded, but what they're doing is underhanded. Okay, sure. We expect the ILF to temporarily concentrate their force on the roofs and upper floors of high-altitude buildings adjacent to the target, while they disable our infrastructure, deploy jammers, and prepare to move the bulk of their forces through at ground level. As such, the importance of providing you with adequate close air support is paramount to the success of this mission. This isn't Majestic-class infantry dropship, one of the Department of Corporate Intelligence and Security latest innovation in the field of stealth technology. Is this the silhouette of it? Because it just looks like a triangle. I suppose I should read this out loud. Defenses, negative 30 centimeter limniscate nano armor matrix, and classified armor regeneration system. It has a 6x AARG 40S ventral 40mm silenced quad-linked assault railgun. And oh, that's a dash, not negative. Okay. And a 1 MTG 500 AS ventral silenced 105mm anti-armor railgun with dedicated power core, and 4 D1A interceptor drones, and scourged nanokinetic ADS, and it's classified. Cargo up to 32 infantry personnel and equipment lockers. Medical diagnostic station. Propulsion. Fusionless zero intake helium ion induction pulse engine with stealth thermal regulators. 20 TW emissionless stealth thermoplasmic reactor, and stealth ECM systems. CECMS 450 Nosferatu AECM system. ODGS 42 optical distortion grid. SERD SERDS a sonic emission compensator. Wow. I like the Nosferatu thing. The SIV-50 M2 is quick, quiet, and virtually undetectable thanks to its induction-based pulse engines and adaptive optical camouflage. In addition to this, it's conventional piloted aircraft with a powerful AECM system, allowing it to operate with low chance of detection or system failure inside the range of hostile communications jammers. In order to reconcile your numerical disadvantage, DCAS has assigned several SIV-50 M2s, that's a S, to this mission to provide aerial fire support and keep enemy defenses occupied as you approach the mission site. Although a less destructive solution is always preferable, our dropships are capable of using the 105mm railguns to bludgeon their way into any enemy fortifications they might come across. Fortunately, Our engineers worked tirelessly to develop a superior alternative, as it was a better use of their time than simply attempting to create explosives that were more explosive than the predecessors. This alternative was a weapon so deadly that many of them were placed under heavy guard for the rest of their lives. Envision, if you will, a school of Pythagoras, Natiri, and the rivers of the Amazon basin. Pygocentrus. I just see CPY and go Pythagoras. Oh my goodness. Pygocentrus naturari. The piranha? You couldn't just say a piranha, Airi. It's a type of piranha, I believe. The rivers of the Amazon basin, which makes more sense than Pythagoras. More specifically, one that has been deprived of sustenance for several days before locating a wounded animal. In these circumstances, they'll typically waste no time swarming the animal, devouring any soft tissue they can find, generally in small groups of around 20 fish. Now, imagine instead of 20 fish consuming a bird with a wounded wing, you have a swarm of 20 quintillion blade-like nanomachines controlled by an artificial intelligence that can vaporize reinforced concrete, drill through diamine plating, and liquefy any organism that makes direct contact with a fraction of a second. Well, that sounds safe. The Scourge type nanokinetic ADS does just that, and it is why the ILF protects its signal jammers with the same dedication that most would exhibit protecting their newborn children. Back in 2040, a DCIS strike team used the Scourge ADS on an EALF terrorist stronghold in the fire ruins of northern India. The stronghold remained intact. The terrorists did not. In fact, killing them was the easiest phase of the operation. I just wish the same could be said about disposing of the residue they left on the floors, in the walls, in the ceiling, and everywhere else. Thankfully, our vehicle-mounted scourge area denial system have been updated with selective targeting firmware since then. So, if your stomach is as strong as the rest of your corporation, you'll find immense solace in knowing that the system's contemporary variant is only configured to destroy nerve tissue. My apologies for the lengthy explanation, operatives. Your duties for this mission will be as follows. at 20:30 hours tonight. One of our Majestic-class drone ships will meet you at the VTOL pad in District 2's central quarter. From there, you will be delivered to a point several kilometers from the mission site and wait for our signal to approach the enemy. By this time, our 6 remaining drone ships should be well on their way towards establishing a vehicular exclusion zone in the event that the ILF decides to support their forces with another tank. Once the enemy is present at the mission site, our strike team will reveal themselves, deploy on top of the buildings in the zone, destroy their comm jammers, and purge the area of any high-altitude fortifications that could prevent your approach. At this point, you'll be cleared to approach the mission site on foot through a nearby alleyway that runs through District 4A and 8. As always, follow the directions assigned to you and you should be safe. More details will be provided to you after our strike team have surrounded Maeda and locked him inside the Citizen Conditioning Center alongside the remainder of his forces. At this point, we suspect fewer than 30 will remain, which should be manageable for you, relatively speaking. ILF commando units typically use the A10 Defiant personnel armor system, one of the strongest available from Punakha Foundries, the leading manufacturer of armor and weapons in the Himalayan Free States, and one of the East Asian Liberation Front's primary bribe takers. Thanks to an outer plating of magnetically stabilized neurotronium, the armor is extremely dense and difficult to ablate despite its relatively low mass. While most standard projectile blades, thermal weapons, electric current generators, and mass driver rounds fail to effectively penetrate it, Scourge nanites can weaken it to a point where a well-placed shot can bring down a protected enemy. I provided the Lucid cell with a pair of specialized Scourge nanite injector modules for the BR-500 scout rifle, which will weaken the ILF's neutralium plating on contact. Do use these wisely, however, as these injections will have limited charges. If you forget to do this, however, I will be accompanying you throughout this mission. Request long-range fire support, and I will use my sniper rifle to both soften your targets and demonstrate the unmatched lethality of Limniscate's weapons technology. Additionally, Unless you're naturally resistant to poison gas, fire, electricity, or ionizing radiation, I would advise each of you to wear an armor system that provides adequate protection against each of the aforementioned hazards. This concludes my contribution to this transmission. Unless you have any questions, there is nothing more I wish to brief you on. No questions here, Agent. Alright, well, I guess we'll see. He looks so pissed. We'll see how this goes in the next episode.